Good evening, everyone. Late Night Mega here. And tonight, we're going to be playing a game in English. Because that would probably be a good idea. Tonight, we are playing Pokémon Shield for the Nintendo Switch. So put on your PJs and prepare for some cliches. And also prepare for me to fail at naming my character for a little while. So while we're doing that, I'll explain what I'm actually doing with this. This is a Nuzlocke, which is a special set of self-imposed rules, basically to make Pokemon games more challenging. The two basic rules are as follows. First rule is you can only capture the first Pokemon you run into on any given route or town or cave or dungeon, whatever. And the second rule is if one of your Pokemon faints in battle, it is considered dead and you can no longer use it. You either have to deposit in the PC or release it. I'm not going to be releasing it. I'm going to be just putting it in the PC. When I first started doing Nuzlocks, though, I found that I did have to release the Pokemon. Otherwise, I would just be too tempted to bring the Pokemon back out and start using it again. Because I'm like, oh, this is one of my favorites. I wanted to use this. I didn't want it to die. Yeah. I don't feel like training up another one. So... But over time, with doing some Nuzlocks, I've gotten more used to more self-control, more restraint in that regard. All right, and I finally figured out how to get my name on into 12 characters, so we are good to go. But Nuzlocking is not all we're going to be doing, as this guy does not have voice acting, so I'm just going to talk over him. Nuzlocking is not all I'm going to be doing with Pokemon Shield, because I also plan on getting back into competitive battling. Competitive battling is something that I haven't really done much of since Generations 4 and 5. Which, if you're not familiar off the top of your head what those are, that would be like Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, that was Generation 4, and Generation 5 would be Black and White, and Black and White 2. So, a lot of things, especially in Generation 7, which would be Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, really just did not look fun to me for competitive play. There was just way too many different things going on, way too many things being overpowered and such. It was just... I'll probably explain more of it when we get to more of the competitive play, but from what I've seen of Sword and Shield competitive play, and how it's done on Wi-Fi, on Nintendo's Wi-Fi network, I really like what I'm seeing. Although I was very iffy at first, very iffy. And I looked at some of the new Pokemon. I like most of the new Pokemon. I like their typing. I like their designs. This thing, though, this was the thing I was really iffy on. The Dynamaxing or Gigantamaxing is what that is. But this is Pokemon Shield, so... Did I do my whole intro? Did I say put on your PJs and prepare for some cliches? Well, I don't know if I did that yet. Okay. Well, if I did, then do it again, and if I didn't, then do it. And we have a cute little sheep Pokemon there. I like that. By the way, this is post-commentary Late Night Mega, since I'm recording in HDMI. Yeah, just my recording setup kind of requires me to do this right now. I don't have the capabilities of doing decent live commentary, or even acceptable live commentary. Acceptable's not really what I'm looking for. Anyways, this guy's name is Hop. We gotta hop to it. Yeah, that phrase is gonna get old quickly. Who names their kid Hop? That'd be like if I had two kids and I name one of them Roll, and the other one can be named Egg. Anyways. So we're talking about... Oh, the champion is actually Hop's brother. That's kind of interesting. Hop's older brother, that is. Champion Leon, you kind of saw him there with the big cape with all the sponsorships on it. And he was Gigantamaxing his Charizard. Alright, and now we have to... like, press a button to get off the couch. And we are moving kind of quickly. There's a Munchlax. One of the big complaints about this game is that they removed a lot of the old Pokemon. They still kept like a handful of Pokemon from generations 1 through 7, but they did remove a lot. They probably kept about 40% of the total overall Pokedex. And while a couple of my favorite Pokemon of all time, Garchomp and Heatran, didn't make the cut to this game, I do really like the set of Pokemon that we have. I like that it's been scaled back, and I definitely like that in terms of competitive play. What I definitely don't like is this guy's hat. Like, I am not a hat person. Like, no one I know ever sees me wearing a hat. I wish I could take the hat off. But maybe I can find at least a more decent hat later. And that backpack, that is like the most gigantic backpack that any main character in a Pokemon series has had. Like what, did we have to Dynamax the backpack too? Look, it's a small backpack. I mean, come on, we fit an unrealistic amount of stuff in it anyways. Does it have to be huge? Look, even Hop is making fun of us for it. And if Hop is making fun of us, man, we're really in trouble. So since this is post-commentary, you're not going to see me reading too much of the dialogue. I might go through it kind of quickly because I'm going through it kind of at the pace that I'm reading it personally, although I try to slow it down a little bit if it's if I feel like it's important and interesting enough. I want to give you guys a chance, or give post-commentary me a chance to read it out loud. So we have this Wooloo here. Okay, that's not even taken care of. You just told the thing to stop tackling the fence because it's not supposed to be trying to break out. But then it does it again in defiance of you, and you're like, okay, well, it's all settled now. No, it isn't. Why don't you just, like... It's a big, fluffy sheep. Just pick it up and move it someplace that's not by the fence. That's going to come back to cause a problem later, isn't it? The power of science. What, are you... Oh, what's his name? The gym leader from the X and Y series that was always like, oh, behold the power of science. Only that's a much older guy. Okay, so apparently this kid and the two Wooloo in the... I like the name Wooloo. It's a cute name. And the Wooloo in the road there are going to stop us from progressing further. Which I guess that brings me to a point of comparison between Generation 8 and even Generation 7. Sun and Moon did this as well, and the previous games, which is kind of the road-blocking, hand-holding, very linear progression of when you can go to certain routes in certain areas and when you can't, because the game wants you to do something else before going in that direction. And I'll admit, I was really annoyed by that sometimes in Sun and Moon, especially doing a Nuzlocke. I'm like, okay, well, why can I not go to the next route? Why do I have to go into this dungeon right now or do this trial right now when I really just want to go the next route and see what I can capture and maybe train up for this trial. But no, you got to do things the way that they want. And some of the things were kind of ridiculous in the way that they stopped you, such as having Wooloo in the streets. But honestly, I'm becoming more okay with that concept. Oh, you must be Hop's dad. Or Grandpa or something. I don't know. Oh, there's Grandma. And this is a training machine. So is that Hop's room, or is this Hop's room? 3 most popular Pokemon in Galar, and they're all Kanto Pokemon that have been with us since Gen 1. While they are popular Pokemon, I would prefer showing off more of the new Pokemon, since that's kind of one of the reasons to get a new Pokemon game, is there's new Pokemon to play with. No, music shift. Okay, so Hop is telling us that we can't go into the tall grass because we don't have a Pokemon. So, the logical thing to do is to immediately try and test this theory. Okay, he will not let us pass. We ran into... And see, that's part of the thing that people don't like. They're forcing you to go this particular path. You saw the grass to the right there. We wouldn't be able to go in that either. But I'm kind of okay with this because realistically, we don't have like HM moves like we did in the earlier generation Pokemon games, especially looking back at, say, Gens 1 through 4, where you needed to have a Pokemon that could learn the specific HM move, and most of the HM moves were crap. There's a couple that are not, like Surf. But for the most part, HM moves were crap, and you didn't really want to put them on your Pokemon, but you had to in order to progress through certain areas. And so people would even have like HM slaves, which would be a Pokemon they'd get that they would just load up with HMs so they could move through the game. I would much prefer the system that we have in Sun and Moon. Why is that guy patting his belly? That's weird in the back. What, did he just, like, eat a Pokemon or something? It looks like he just ate a Wooloo. At some point I should start talking about what's going on camera instead of just rambling here, but I'm more okay with the sort of blockades and linear progression that they have in Sun and Moon, and that we're already seeing here in Sword and Shield. The reason for that being, it's really just a replacement, or I'm looking at it as more of just a replacement for the forced HM moves. So I would rather have this forced linear progression rather than having to get all these crappy HM moves. This was especially true in the Johto games where you had like 8 HM moves. It was ridiculous. Okay, so we have Leon here. Okay, this also doesn't make sense to me. Leon has heard so much about me, from his little brother, but yet this is our first time meeting him. Like, okay, how have we not met previously? Because you've met with your brother enough times to hear about me, but never coming over and meeting me in person. It doesn't make sense to me. I also like how Hop came over here to get his brother the champion, because apparently he's so bad with directions he doesn't know where his own house is anymore. I don't actually believe that's the case. It's just, things aren't making much logical sense here. And I find it kind of silly, kind of weird, but you know what? It's Pokemon. That's what the story of Pokemon is going to be sometimes. Ooh, there's a the Twitter bird, tweet. I forgot the thing's name. The thing that evolves into eventually evolves into Talonflame. I forgot it. I forgot its pre-evolution name. That's gonna bother me. But it was one of those things on the top there. I do like some of the Pokemon references like that, and how they've got like Pokemon shaped, other normal objects around. Now we get to pick a starter. So we have the grass type Grookey, fire type Scorbunny, and the water type Sobble. Oh, so Sobble's the water type's name. I forgot what his name was. Well, that kind of tells you that we're not picking Sobble. There's also a neat little scene between the three. Oh gosh, we made it cry from the little berries splashing next to it. Oh, that's funny. Alright, so our champion is actually going to give us our starter Pokemon instead of having the professor give us our starter Pokemon. Interesting. It's an interesting twist. In Leon, the champion, he keeps reminding everyone he's the champion. I don't know why he needs to do that. Hop is going to let us pick first. And, I'm going to go right for the fire type. I'll explain why I like the fire type starters in general. In general, I find myself liking the fire type starters more than the other starters. Especially if we're doing a Nuzlocke. I'll explain more about that in a moment. So, Leon is actually looking for strong challengers to come and face. Oh, that's a cool little fist bump. I like that scene. Nice touch. And he's going to go with the starter that's actually weak to ours. Okay. And so Leon is looking for strong challengers to challenge him for his championship title. It's kind of an interesting, well, I shouldn't say it's an interesting plot, because it's like a very basic plot, especially for a Pokemon game. But I like that they're focusing mainly on the gym leader challenge that we're already starting to hear about, and the champion just looking for strong challengers. I like that we're kind of bringing that to the forefront, because some other Pokemon games, sometimes it feels like, okay, well, we're in this town, we're doing these other things, we're stopping this evil team, we're investigating this or whatnot, and oh, by the way, there's a gym leader here, or oh, by the way, there's a trial here. You should do that while you're here. And it's like that's just kind of an afterthought. Whereas here, from what I've played of Shield so far, it feels like the main forefront of the game and the game's plot. I like that. In fact, in a lot of ways, I feel like this is kind of a refocusing of the Pokemon series. More on that a bit later. We've already mentioned the cutting down on the number of Pokemon in the game. But anyways, fire types. So, the reason I picked the fire type, number one, grass type just has a lot of weaknesses for my taste. And I'm usually not a big fan of grass types, though I have been using them more, especially since I started doing Nuzlocks. And should I talk about my Nuzlocke history? That can be for another episode when we've got less things to talk about. Reason I don't usually pick the water type even when I'm not doing Nuzlocks, I'm usually not picking the water type starter. And it's especially true for Nuzlocke. Most of my Nuzlocke, I pick the fire or grass starter. Reason for that is there's so many opportunities to get water types in basically any Pokemon game. This is especially true when you start fishing and when you have fishing spots at certain towns too. So like once with the Nuzlocke rules, like you can get an encounter on each route, but you can get an encounter in each town as well. So towns, you're pretty much just going to get fishing spots. So if you need a water type, just fish for one in a town. You're not using up any of your other Nuzlocke capturing opportunities for it. and you can just get your water type that way. So why would I want to start with water type? Meanwhile, I find fire types tend to be a bit more on the rare side, and I do like some of the types that fire covers. So yeah, we're going to go with the fire type Scorbunny. And Hop is challenging us to a battle. He's got 2 Pokemon. He's got his Wooloo and his Grookey. His Wooloo's level 3, so we're level 5. This is unusual compared to Pokemon's usual first starter versus starter battles, because we're taking on 2 Pokemon. Usually it's just the 2 starters facing each other. Yeah, we got a critical hit there. This is also kind of cool music. I like how that Wooloo is like rolling for its tackle. That's adorable. Alright, that takes care of the Wooloo. And it gets us enough experience to level up. Wow. And we learned Ember. That is our first fire type attack. Is good in the early games. It also has a 10% chance of burning the opponent. And it's also super effective against grass. So we're going to go ahead and use that. And Hop's like, whoa, you already know about type advantages. Well, this is not my first Nuzlocke. In fact, this is my 3rd Nuzlocke for this particular channel, but it's my... yeah, it's either my 19th or my 20th Nuzlocke overall. I think it's 19th. I don't have my Nuzlocke journal in front of me. Hey, we got another level up. That's cool. So yeah, fire types tend to be pretty useful, and they tend to be pretty hard to come by in Nuzlockes. Especially when you can't, guarantee your first capture on each route. That would be obscenely unfair if you let your Charizard out to battle our level 7 Pokemon. No, we got a free full restore there. Sure, we'll be his rival. This Hop always wanting to race everywhere and be all super excited. He reminds me of... who was it? There was a rival somewhere that was like that. Hugh was kind of like that in Black and White 2. Except he was more like, we gotta go get my sister's Purloin. These people don't have it. Come on, let's go. But there was another rival. It might have been the Gen 4 rival from Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. I forget his name. Okay, so now we have to get a Pokédex. Oh my gosh, what is with that pose? Who does that? Whoever normally does a pose like that in real life? Everyone will think you're weird if you go and you do that. You can try that one out for yourself. So now we have to go talk to our mom. Or mom. It does... Okay, now I know the regions are kind of based on other places in the world. The most obvious one being the Alola region from Sun and Moon was based on Hawaii. Oh, the fence broke. Who didn't see that coming, since you didn't actually stop that Wooloo from doing what it was doing? You just kind of like, no, bad Wooloo. Oh, it's still doing it. Okay, well, let's go. Well, naturally, we're going to have to go save the thing. Save it from itself, apparently. Okay, if these woods are so... or if this area is so off limits, how come the only thing blocking anybody from it is a little wooden gate that anyone can just open? Oh, I love this music. This is really cool music. It's like mysterious, but it's still upbeat. Okay, so we have to find the Pokemon, and well, we found a Pokemon in the tall grass. A Squovet. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. I'm probably not going to pronounce a lot of stuff correctly. We do not have Pokeballs yet. The official Nuzlocke rules for catching and such do not begin until we get Pokeballs. So this does not count as losing my capture for this area. Oh, we got a burn. Perfect. I was telling you guys about that 10% burn. So what burn does is a burned Pokemon will lose half of their physical attack stat. Well, their physical attack stat is cut in half, and they take a little bit of damage every turn. It's not as much as what I'm used to. They cut down the damage that burn does. I think they cut it in half from what it used to be. Because it used to be like the same percentage as... Was it the same percentage as... Well, no, now it's the same percentage as a leftovers recovery. It used to be double the percentage of a leftovers recovery. So it used to be like at the same range as Leech Seed or Basic Poison, and I can understand why that would be a little bit too much, because you're already cutting the physical attack in half. Burning something will already cripple physical attackers. But it doesn't do anything to special attackers. So do keep that in mind when you're applying statuses to Pokemon. We have another new Pokemon, Rookidee. I like that name. It's fun to say. Some of the names in this are fun to say. I like it. Go ahead with an Ember. I'm actually really surprised that Ember is not one-shotting these level 2 Pokemon. Because we're level 7. That feels weird to me. Maybe just the Pokemon in general, the new Pokemon in general, are just having better base stats than what I'm used to in other Pokemon games. That could be it. That sounds really ominous. Did you hear that? No, what I think is it's the end of the video. That's what it is.